There's a man you've probably met before. He's got a decent career, takes care of himself, and is overall a solid guy, but somehow when it comes to women things never work out the way he expects. At first everything seems great. She's interested, responds quickly, and enjoys spending time with him, but over time something shifts her. Texts get shorter, her enthusiasm fades, she starts cancelling plans. Before he knows it, he's in the friend zone, or worse, completely ignored. He doesn't get it. He was respectful, attentive, and did everything right, but here's the brutal truth: doing everything right isn't the same as being the right kind of man, and that's why you need to hear this, because whether you realize it or not, you might be making critical mistakes that silently destroy your value. These mistakes aren't obvious, they don't make you a bad person, but they do weaken you in the eyes of women, and once you lose that respect, getting it back is almost impossible. So pay close attention today. We're breaking down 10 attitudes that make you weak in the eyes of women, and here's the kicker, the last one, it's the most destructive of all. If you don't fix it, you'll not only lose women's respect but also undermine your own masculinity. Now let me be clear, this video isn't for guys looking for shortcuts, tricks or ways to manipulate women. This is about becoming the kind of man who naturally commands respect. If you're tired of being overlooked, tired of getting the same disappointing results, and ready to understand what truly separates weak men from strong ones, then keep watching. And before we dive in, let me ask you this: have you ever caught yourself doing things just to impress a woman? Have you ever felt like you were chasing approval instead of being respected? If the answer is yes, don't worry, you're not alone. The key isn't beating yourself up over past mistakes, the key is recognizing them and fixing them starting today. So let's get into it. There are 10 things that high-value men never do with women. Number 1, stop worshipping women. Most men don't realize this, but the moment you put a woman on a pedestal, you've already lost. Think about it. When you treat a woman like she's a goddess, as if she's doing you a favor by being with you, what message are you sending? You're saying, I'm beneath you, my value is lower than yours, and guess what? If you don't see your own worth, neither will she. This doesn't mean you shouldn't admire a woman's beauty, intelligence or personality, but admiration is not worship. Respect is not submission. When you place a woman above yourself, constantly seeking her approval, showering her with compliments, and making her the center of your universe, you're not being romantic, you're being weak. Women don't respect men who act like fans, they respect men who see themselves as equals, men who have a life, purpose and a backbone. So ask yourself, have you ever caught yourself doing this? Have you ever put a woman so high on a pedestal that you forgot your own value? Drop a yes in the comments if you've made this mistake before, or no if you've ever fallen into this trap. Here's the rule: admire but never worship, respect but never beg for attention, because high-value men don't seek validation from women, they know their worth comes from within. Now let's move on to the second mistake, one that kills attraction faster than you think. Number 2, being too available. There's a harsh truth most men don't want to hear: if you're always available, you're not valuable. Think about anything in life, things that are rare and hard to get are always more desirable. The same principle applies to attraction. If you're constantly texting first, always saying yes, and making yourself available at her convenience, telling her one thing, you have nothing better to do, and if your life revolves around her, why would she be excited about you? Women are drawn to men with purpose, men who have their own goals, passions and priorities. A man was always at her beck and call. Doesn't he create excitement or mystery? He creates predictability, and predictability is boring. High-value men understand this. They don't make themselves too easy to reach, too easy to read or too easy to get. They're focused on their own path, and that's exactly what makes them attractive. So take a step back. If she calls, don't always rush to pick up. If she texts, don't feel the need to reply immediately. If she asks for plans, don't always rearrange your schedule. The bottom line: stop chasing, start leading, because the man who is constantly available is the man who's quickly forgotten. Now let's talk about the third mistake, one that weakens you at your core. Number 3, fear of losing her. Nothing makes a man weaker in a woman's eyes than fear, and the most common fear that destroys attraction, the fear of losing her. When a man operates from fear, it shows in everything he does. He avoids setting boundaries because he's afraid she get upset. He tolerates disrespect because he's afraid of confrontation. He suppresses his true thoughts because he doesn't want to risk saying something she won't like. But here's the reality: the moment you fear losing her, you've already lost. Women can sense when a man is insecure. They pick up on hesitation, uncertainty and desperation, and nothing kills attraction faster than a man who acts like he needs a woman more than she needs him. A high-value man never clings. She doesn't try to control, beg or manipulate. He knows that if a woman leaves, it's not a loss, it's just making space for someone better. So instead of living in fear, adopt a different mindset. If she stays, great; if she leaves, even better, because the strongest, most desirable men are the ones who don't chase, they attract. Number 4, sharing emotional problems too soon. There's a difference between being emotionally intelligent and being emotionally needy, and most men don't realize when they cross the line. Women aren't drawn to men who dump their emotional baggage. early in a relationship. Why? Because it signals instability, it makes her feel like she has to carry your weight, and that's not attractive, it's exhausting. This doesn't mean you should bottle up your emotions and pretend nothing ever bothers you. Strength isn't about being emotionless, it's about being in control. A high-value man knows when and how to express vulnerability without becoming a burden. Early on, a woman isn't your therapist, she's not there to fix you, she's there to see if you're a man she can respect, someone who can handle his own struggles without seeking constant validation or reassurance. If you have problems, face them like a man, solve them, build resilience, and when you do, do it from a place of strength, not desperation, because a man who masters his emotions earns respect. A man who constantly seeks emotional support loses it. Number 5. Tolerating disrespect. A woman will only respect you as much as you respect yourself, and the fastest way to lose that respect: tolerating disrespect. Disrespect comes in many forms: subtle sarcasm, dismissive behavior, flaking on plans, or even testing your boundaries just to see how much she can get away with, and if you allow it, you send a clear message: I don't value myself enough to demand respect. And here's the brutal truth: once she stops respecting you, she stops feeling attraction. It's only a matter of time before she either walks away or treats you like a doormat. A high-value man doesn't argue, beg, or plead for respect. He doesn't explain why he deserves better. He simply walks away from situations that don't align with his standards. So next time she crosses the line, whether it's a joke at your expense, dismissing your time, or making you feel like an afterthought, don't let it slide. Set the boundary, enforce it, and if she respect it, she doesn't belong in your life, because the truth is the way you allow others to treat you is the way they will continue to treat you. Now let's move on to the 6th mistake: a behavior that turns a man into an option rather than a priority. Number 6. Trying to convince a woman to like you. If you have to convince a woman to like you, you've already lost attraction. Isn't our debate? It's not something you can negotiate, explain, or prove. Yet so many men fall into the trap of trying to sell themselves, listing their achievements, proving they'd make a great boyfriend, or subtly fishing for validation. Here's the harsh reality: if a woman isn't naturally drawn to you, nothing you say will change. That a high-value man doesn't try to convince a woman of his worth, he simply embodies it. He understands that attraction is about how he carries himself, not how well he explains himself. If she's not interested, move on. The moment you chase, you give her all the power, and the more you try to prove yourself, the more desperate you appear. Women respect men who know their value and have the discipline to walk away from those who don't. So stop explaining, stop proving, stop convincing, because the right woman won't need persuasion, she'll already see your value. Number 7. Compromising your principles to please a woman. Nothing weakens a man more than abandoning his values just to gain a woman's approval. Maybe you've seen it before: a guy who changes his opinions, interests, or even morals just to align with what a woman likes. One day he hates a certain kind of music, the next is pretending to love it just because she does, or worse, he tolerates behavior he normally wouldn't just to avoid upsetting her. And here's what he doesn't realize: every time he does this, he loses a little bit of himself. Women don't respect men who bend that every turn just to stay in their good graces. They respect men who have a backbone, men who have principles, values, and the strength to stand by them whether a woman agrees or not. A high-value man adapts, but he doesn't compromise his core. He doesn't change who he is just to keep someone around, and he definitely doesn't tolerate disrespect out of fear of losing someone. Because here's the truth: if she only likes you when you agree with her, like you, she likes a version of you that doesn't exist. So be firm, be unshakable in your beliefs, and if that turns a woman away, good, you just saved yourself from losing yourself. Now let's move on to the 8th mistake, one that destroys attraction faster than almost anything else. Number 8. Being too emotional and reactive. A man who can control his emotions is a man who loses respect fast. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being in control. When a man is easily triggered, overly sensitive, or reacts impulsively to every little situation, he sends a clear message: he's not in charge of himself. And if you're not in control of yourself, why would a woman or anyone respect you? Think about it: a woman takes too long to text back, you panic. She cancels plans last minute, you lash out. She tests your patience, you snap. Every reaction screams insecurity. High-value men stay composed no matter the situation. They understand that emotional discipline is a form of strength. They don't let minor setbacks, disrespect, or rejection throw them off, because the second you let your emotions dictate your actions, you give your power away, and once that happens, you lose all influence, not just with women but in life. So next time you feel that surge of frustration, doubt, or anger, pause, take a breath, think before you react, because the men who control their emotions control their destiny. Number 9. Depending on a woman for happiness. If your happiness depends on a woman, you've already lost yourself. A lot of men fall into this trap: they meet someone, get excited, and suddenly she becomes their whole world. They stop spending time with friends, abandon their hobbies, and slowly their entire sense of fulfillment revolves around her. At first she might like the attention, but over time it becomes suffocating because no woman wants to be a man's only source of purpose. Here's the truth: women are drawn to men who already have a fulfilling life, a man who's on his path, focused on his goals, and satisfied with or without a relationship. If you give up everything just to keep her, she won't admire you, she'll resent you, and worse, if things fall apart you'll be left with nothing, because you made her your everything. So build a life that excites you, have passions, have goals, and have a purpose bigger than any relationship, because the most attractive men are the one who are already complete before a woman ever enters the picture. Now let's talk about the final mistake, the one that keeps men trapped in weak, unfulfilling relationships. Number 10. Believing you need a woman to be complete. This is the biggest lie society sells to men, the idea that you're not truly complete unless you have a woman by your side. From a young age you're told that success means finding the one, that without a relationship you're somehow lacking. But here's the truth: if you're not whole on your own, no woman will ever complete you. Men who believe they need a woman to feel fulfilled end up in weak, desperate relationships. They settle for less, they tolerate bad behavior, they cling to relationships that drain them because they fear being alone more than they value their own peace. But high-value men, they don't chase relationships to feel complete, they build themselves into men of purpose, discipline, and strength, and as a result the right women naturally gravitate toward them. So stop looking for someone to complete you, become the man you were meant to be. Focus on growth, on self-mastery, on building a life that excites you, because when you do, everything else, including the right relationships, falls into place. Now you know the 10 behaviors that weaken you in the eyes of women, but knowledge alone won't change anything. Action will. Most men have made these mistakes at some point, but what separates strong men from weak ones is the ability to recognize and correct them. The key isn't to dwell on the past, but to adjust and move forward from no one. Pay attention to how you carry yourself. If you catch yourself seeking validation, reacting emotionally, or compromising your values, stop and reset. Strength comes from discipline, purpose, and self-respect. Women respect men who respect themselves first. This isn't just about dating, it applies to every area of life. So here's your challenge: start today, observe yourself, make the necessary changes, and take control of your life. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more content on personal growth, stoicism, and becoming a high-value man. The choice is yours. Repeat the same mistakes or evolve into the man you were meant to be. See you in the next one.